Hello, American Africans, my family. It is an honor to speak with you all today about us, how the American African DOS, we are the missing tribe. You can say the missing link. And what do I mean by missing tribe? Well, most of you already know the other names under the descendants of American chattel slavery from the United States of America. But if you're like me, you've thought that none of these names truly represent you. I felt they don't represent me, who I stand for, and what I believe in. In particular, leadership, especially leadership. But not to mention, with regard to leadership, there's been a lot of misinformation and contradictory messaging. So, because of this, I personally went searching for my truth. I say it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But that's how I was led here to this point right now in time. Now, that being said, there's been a lot of great information. I don't want to downplay this leadership team that are on the other tribes, within the other tribes. I think that a lot of information has been pertinent, relevant, useful, accurate, correct, all of those good words rather. So I wouldn't want to take any of that away from them. But there came a problem when there was like contradictions in messaging. And for me, it was with regard to various topics that were not thoroughly covered properly. And I just had a lot of complaints myself. And I'm sure if you're on this channel, you have and felt the same way too. More often than not, I felt there were gaps and holes, if you will, that just a lot was missing and just a lot of confusion. So the point is, our tribe, we fill in those missing pieces for you. And what does that mean exactly? So you won't get a 2-hour political commentary over here on this channel, but what you will get are the answers to questions that may arise within certain scenarios or lessons or whatever you may be listening to, and particularly with contradictions and inaccuracy within those lessons. So I like to say, like, over here, you come over here, you're like, okay, you should be able to fill in those gaps, those missing pieces when you come here. And it's so that you're not so confused. And that's what we'll be doing over here on this YouTube channel. So what you can expect is that we'll talk about not only politics, because it's very important that you have a sound political education, but you need to know about history and science, particularly biology, especially with us, in regard to the system of white dominance, white power, and white control. We'll talk about military strategy and psychology and sociology. And all of this is so that you have a full understanding of our people's predicament. Again, with these apparent gaps here and there in messaging, as well as contradictions and misinformation, it's bound that we're going to be confused if we don't have a space and a place where we can kind of bounce this information back and forth and say, okay, what is missing? Ah, there it is. That's it. Now, we are not going to get everything right 100% of the time, but that's why we are working together with one another as American African DOS, as a team. So we collaborate together, we help one another fill in those missing pieces, and we provide one another with this well-rounded message, this much needed context, this balance. So I like to give an example of what I recently tweeted. I posted about why a reparations plan that's less than 20 years is just illogical. It's nonsensical. And quite frankly, it's an insult to our intelligence. And this is because there are other plans that have different structures that are similar, not the same, but you can grasp a lot of information and say, okay, this makes sense here, so let's put this here and let's, and you're talking about like 70 years in duration with some of these plans and even longer. I mean, some of these plans are like over 150 years. So, it's just important to look at these plans, review them, take advantage of the strengths and avoid the weaknesses, because there are a lot, and then you come out with something that's well thought out, that's proper and comprehensive. And that's what we want. Now, that's just one example, okay? I have many, many more to come. So be sure you are following us on Twitter, because we will go through and share sound research, thorough examinations, in-depth analysis, and this is so that you have a better understanding of how all of this should work. Again, please follow us on Twitter because we will be posting different examples. In one or two I can think of off the top of my head is the $100 trillion price tag on that on our reparations plan. So that amount is based on something. It's thoroughly researched. So, anything less than a $20 trillion plan in and of itself is just not sufficient. But that, and then the fact that being quote unquote Black for the last 10 years, or claiming to be Black on documentation, not having something based on phenotype, particularly because the system is literally based on phenotype, makes absolutely no sense. And as you know, phenotype is most accurately represented via genetic code. So that's just how you look, like what you look like, your hair, your nose, your skin, your lips. All of this goes into how you look, and being quote unquote Black has nothing to do with it. That's actually race, which is sub-Saharan, which for us is sub-Saharan West African. But anyway, that's all going to be explained in due time as well. But these are just examples. And, the point is, I'm sure many of you already know, it's very possible to have the most current, correct, and most accurate data and information and still come up with a completely absurd conclusion. That's happened a lot in this space. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's noticed this. I know for certain I'm not. So again, I do want to stress, I want to go back and keep saying that I definitely encourage you to listen to as many Black leaders in this space as possible, because there is a lot of good information out there. And the more you are informed, the better you're able to come here and say, okay, this makes sense. And also go back and say, okay, that doesn't. And you're able to identify BS when you hear it. Hashtag make it make sense. In closing, are we the missing tribe? Are American African descendants of slaves the missing link, the missing piece? Yes, we are, because we will give you the logical details so that you can come to logical conclusions. Our goal is for you to be fully and properly educated on all issues that affect us, not only political. But in this understanding, you really have to come here with some work that you've already done. So you do your job, we'll do ours. And that means you need to educate yourself as much as possible about the plight of our people. And yes, that again means listening to various different leaders in this space, regardless of tribe affiliation, because over here on this channel, we can't do everything. We can't. We'll try to do as much as we can by filling in those missing pieces. But what we will do, and what we will try our best to do, is sort through the confusion and the various conflicting messages from various different leaders, especially the ones who spew incoherent and illogical conclusions. So you come here for the sound conclusions, but as long as you do the groundwork and the foundation is set, you're gonna really enjoy what you're gonna hear here, because hopefully it'll be filling in those pieces and you'll feel like you're more fulfilled and you've come to logical outcomes. And we're doing this together, by the way. I'm not just doing this by myself. Obviously, I'm going to be doing this with my team, which is you. So I do want to say, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, okay? Because we do and we will post and showcase projects and collaborations and things like that with one another. So if you're one of us, go ahead and identify as one of us and reach out to us via Instagram or YouTube here or Twitter. We look forward to working with you as a team. And that wraps up today's message. I want to thank each and every one of you. I appreciate your time, and I hope today's message uplifts, inspires, and elevates you. Goodbye, family.